This is John McQuay with 8541 Tactical, and this is Mail Call Mondays, the show that answers your questions about precision rifles, optics, and equipment. As you notice, the scenery has changed. We are sitting out here in my truck. The reason for this is, first of all, the shop is a wreck. I've been gone for off and on for a couple of weeks doing various things. Many of you are aware from the blog posts and from our Facebook posts that this last week I was down at Rock Castle Shooting Center in Park City, Kentucky doing the Bushnell Tactical Writers event. What this was is Bushnell Tactical invited several different gun writers from several different media types down to see what their latest and greatest products are. We sampled quite a few different optics, laser rangefinders, and spotting scopes, and just basically got a feel for the product, the direction Bushnell is heading, and what their core focus has been. And I can tell you, I was incredibly impressed, not just with the range of products that they brought, but in the manner that they presented to us. A lot of manufacturers might want to call you out to a seminar and just line up a bunch of products on a table and say, hey, this is what we got, give you a spiel about what they were. But during this writers event, Bushnell really set the products out and let the products speak for themselves. They gave us some basic technical aspects on them, technical features on the products, and of course explained to us some of the upgrades and why they did the upgrades. But after that, the products were all mounted on weapons or set out to where we could utilize them, and we used them in varying formats from close contact ranges all the way out to dinging plates at 1,400 plus yards. So we really got a feel for how well the products work or areas that they still need improvement. And the key thing here is Bushnell was very interested in learning where their products need improvement or what the commercial market wants from them. They've got a pretty good handle on what the military market wants for their products, and several of their products are in the military market. Several of my recommendations for improvements to the product were stated that the military didn't want them, and that's why they weren't on that specific product. One of the most notable ones is a recommendation for an illuminated reticle on the HDMR scopes. That was not part of the military specification. That's why the HDMR does not have an illuminated reticle, and there really isn't any indicator that an illuminated reticle will be coming anytime soon to the HDMR. And I think part of that is going to be a cost issue, but then the other part of that is outside of law enforcement and some hunting situations, there really aren't a lot of other situations where an illuminated reticle is really needed. I prefer to have them on my scopes when possible so that if I need it, it's there. If I don't need it, it's a rather unobtrusive feature. Now I'll run down some of the stuff that we saw. One of the surprising products that Bushnell brought out was the TRS-25. This is a aimpoint micro-sized red dot sight, and it worked extremely well. It's in the $100 price point, and for $100 I really was not expecting a whole lot out of this optic. However, the vast majority of the work we did with it was mounted to 12-gauge shotguns, both semi-automatic pump, and we had a short-barrel Benelli M4 that we really heated up. In fact, heated up so much that we had to make sure we wore gloves when shooting it because it would really burn you up. And we did not have a single TRS-25 fail for the entire test. Apparently, it's become a YouTube sensation for people to go out and kick the crap out of the TRS-25s and try to make them fail. And I haven't researched that yet, but I'm sure you guys can go out there and Google it and check it out. We will be getting in a TRS-25 to do some of our own testing on because it is a really nice optic for what you're getting. It's a great thing to be able to throw on a 3-gun rifle as your 1X dot sight in addition to a magnified optic, and I think it really has a great purpose on top of a shotgun where should the optic fail, you still have full utilization of the weapon system. So I think that's a great product. It's something that really wasn't on my radar before this event, and once I got to use it, I really took a liking to that product. The next product that we were able to get some time with was the 1 to 6.5 variable magnification scope. It comes in a couple of different flavors. It's got a mill-based reticle and then also a ballistic reticle that's designed to work on 223 rifles. It comes in several different variations, both second focal plane and first focal plane. And in using these from contact range all the way out to 400, 500, I think I even took some 600-yard shots with that setup. It works very, very well. I'm not a great fan of the second focal plane version. For me, when I dialed it down to 1 power, there was a little bit of distortion around the outside of the field of view that was a little bit distracting when I was trying to shoot really fast. If you're trying to line up, stabilize shots, or you had anything other than on 1 power, you were just fine. But if you're really trying to push the limits of speed, then that little bit of distortion seemed to be distracting to me. Other guys that were there that were shooting it didn't have any problems with it, and they didn't notice it at all. However, when we stepped back and we looked at the shot groups, just the massive holes in the middle of the targets from the runs with the first focal plane and the runs with the second focal plane, we seem to notice that the first focal plane had really tighter groupings, and that was without anybody actually trying to shoot groups. That was just grabbing the rifles and running them as quickly as you could engage the targets. And I believe what that comes from is on a first focal plane optic, when you have detail like these reticles do, the horseshoe, the center dot, and then the scale that comes down the middle, the elevation scale. What I think you find is with the second focal plane optic, when you have that thing dialed down to 1x, the reticle is still the same size. You can still see all the detail in the reticle. You just can't use the holdovers now. And I think the problem that you encounter when you do this is you still have all this clutter in the reticle. So when you're trying to shoot fast, there's a whole lot of other things for your eye to lock onto instead of just that really fine center point. On the first focal plane version, when you dial the reticle from 6.5 down to 1 power, that reticle shrinks down until the horseshoe and the scale and everything just kind of converges into one great big dot in the center. And I think that one big dot in the center helps draw your eye in and really makes you focus on the center of the field of view. And I think that's what allowed us to get tighter groups at full speed on the first focal plane versus the second focal plane. Now, the first day that we were out was pretty much, it was close shooting that we were doing. Speed and accuracy with the variety of systems from the shotgun, carbines. We were utilizing JP rifles for the majority of it, and Benelli shotguns for the shotgun side of it. And the Benelli shotguns worked very, very well. We really loaded a lot of shells through those and didn't have any malfunctions in the shotguns at all at any time. I have a newfound desire for the Benelli M4 shotgun. Very, very nice platform. Once I figured out all the ins and outs and all the controls on it, worked really well. Not real big fan of how the shotgun or the stock on the shotgun collapses. It was a little bit fiddly, but overall, once you got the system set for the length of pull that you wanted, worked great. Some of you guys saw the clip that I put up with the first Benelli that we tossed up there. I believe it was an M2. It knocked me around a little bit shooting slugs, but once I got my stance locked in, dropped down, Tom Spooner from Invictus Alliance Group gave me a couple of pointers on how I was letting my stance get a little bit sloppy. After that, was able to get back in and drive the shotgun pretty well. By the end of the 2 days, I was just racking off shells as quick as I could pull the trigger through those Benellis. So great help, and big thanks to Tom Spooner. If you guys ever get a chance to take some training from Invictus Alliance Group, Tom and Scott Spooner are great guys to deal with. They spend a lot of time in the Special Forces community and really know their stuff. They put up some really great training for us over the 2 days, some good courses of fire that really required us to push the systems to really figure out where the strengths and weaknesses were. Now, on the second day, we went out to Thunder Valley at Rock Castle Shooting Center, which is an area that allows you to get shots from contact range all the way out to 1,430 yards. We set out, we knocked out some real simple range cards, and we utilized a couple of the new laser rangefinders that Bushnell has out. The first one being the GeForce 1300, which is a nice compact little laser rangefinder. It's in the lower price range, but it may not be really well suited to precision rifle work. What we noticed with the GeForce 1300 is it ranged very well out to about 500 to 600 yards with handheld. If we mounted it on a tripod, or you got a nice stable position, then you can get out to 900 yards on point targets fairly well. Out past that, though, you really had to start lasing area targets, and you had to start hitting reflective targets. This is to be expected. It's not really advertised as their top-end laser rangefinder. They also had the Bushnell Tactical Elite 1600 rangefinder out there. This one you were able to get returns out beyond 1,000 yards just fine on. I even got a ping off the 1,430 yard target on it, although I'm not entirely certain if I was getting a hit on the point target or if I was getting a hit off the hillside that was in front of it. However, we've done quite a bit of work with the 1600 so far. We'll have a full review of the 1600 coming up soon, and I've been able to get readings off the side of buildings as far as 1600 yards with that rangefinder in varying different light and environmental conditions. So it's a very good piece. It also has a variety of other functions in it, such as angle readings. It has ballistic compensation, where you can set it to actually just give you a ballistic solution. It's not going to be as accurate as a regular ballistic computer where you plug in all your variables, but for a quick and dirty dope, it'll get you close. They also had the Bushnell Tactical Fusion binoculars out there. The Fusion binoculars are a 10-power binocular with a laser rangefinder built in. I was extremely impressed with the Fusion binoculars. I had no problem lasing the 1,430 yard target with it. It locked down pretty quickly and gave me a great return. I didn't have to worry about getting a super stable position. I was able to just lock my elbows in or go prone and use my elbows to stabilize and get a good reading on that. The Fusion binos, hopefully we'll be able to get you a full review on those a little bit later on this year, but they are an excellent product. I didn't have any problems with them. The only issue that I've had with any of the laser rangefinder products is the illumination. In order to change the intensity of the illumination, you have to kind of get down into the menu. It's the first selection in the menu, but you have to get into the menu and utilize the buttons to adjust it there. There's no separate illumination button, and the problem that you run into is you actually have to be able to see the reticle to know that you're in the menu to adjust the illumination. So you have to either put the caps on or point the binoculars or the rangefinder into a dark area in order to see your illumination if it's set on the dimmest setting. For daylight viewing, you really have to have it maxed out on its fourth brightness setting in order to be able to see it well. That's something that Bushnell continues to work on, is the level of brightness in the reticle. A suggestion from pretty much every one of the guys there was that they make some kind of easier way to adjust that illumination so that you can get cranked up quickly. If you have a set of Bushnell binoculars or laser rangefinder that you're having problems seeing it or you don't think they work, make sure you check the illumination first and crank that illumination up, because it's easy to totally miss if it's on its lowest setting and you're in an extremely bright environment. Once we got our ranges set out on our range cards, we took a look at some of the products that they had that worked for the longer ranges. The biggest one is the new Bushnell Tactical LRS. The LRS is the second generation of the HDMR. The improvements on the LRS is we now have 10 mils per revolution on the elevation on the windage turret. We also have a zero stop, so when you go to grab that turret, once you come off a line, you can crank it all the way down and hit your zero and not have to wonder which revolution you're on. This was definitely an issue with the regular HDMR when you had various shooters coming on and off the gun shooting all the way out to 1400 yards. You sometimes had to try to figure out if you were a revolution off when you were jumping down on the gun. If the guy before you didn't dial it off, then when you go from one target to the other, you may have some issues. So zero stops are excellent. I have seen several guys blow a stage in a match because they were on the wrong revolution. So being able to just bring that turret down, hit it off a hard stop, and be there is a great benefit. A couple of things that Bushnell also changed inside the turret. Now, instead of having a steel locking screw or a steel set screw bearing against a brass inner turret, Bushnell has modified their turrets now to where there's a floating steel disc in there. So when you tighten down your steel screws, they're locking against a larger steel disc, which is then pushing against the turret, so you don't get those indents marked into your brass turrets. This can be a problem after you've set your zero numerous times. You'll end up with a series of little indents in your inner turret, and when you try to get that precision zero and you tighten those set screws down, your turret can slip just a little bit, so that you're either on a half hash or you're one hash off on your zero. This has been an issue for me on some competitor scopes, so it's nice to know that they're listening to it. It's been a problem that they've addressed, and they're moving on with that. On the windage turret, the markings now have left and right markings as well. So when you go up on the left side, it's 1L, 2L, 3L, etc. On the right side, 1R, 2R, 3R, etc. This is something I really like to see. I don't like to see turrets that are marked just 1 all the way around to 9 on the back side, because I think it gets a little confusing if you dial one way or the other. I really like to be able to just glance at my turret and see that I'm on the right side or I'm on the left side without having to try to locate that zero and then see which side of zero that I'm on. So that's a really nice feature. I'm glad that they included that. That is about it for the improvements to the LRS. Overall, I think they're working towards making this just the premier competition optic. The reticles available are still the Horus H59, the Horus Tremor 2, and the G2 reticle. The G2 reticle seems to be one of the top runners for a competition reticle. It really isn't as cluttered as, say, the H59. The Tremor 2 reticle, the HDMR that we have in for evaluation right now has the Tremor 2 reticle in it, and the more I work with the Tremor 2 reticle, really the less I like it. I'm going to try to break out and do a separate review on the Tremor 2 reticle because it's a little bit different than other reticles that I've used in the past, and it's different even than Horus's own H59 reticle. It has some different features that I'm not going to get into right now on this video. So the new HDMR, the LRS, is really a fantastic upgrade. It also comes in the Coyote Tan, Bronze, I'm not sure exactly what they're calling it, color. It's almost a copper type color, and it's really attractive. I think it may keep a little bit of heat out of the scope. I know we have tons and tons and tons of black rifle scopes, but I think anything you can do to minimize that scope heating up is probably going to be beneficial to the overall life of the scope. Bushnell has announced that they are going to be bringing out a 4.5 to 30 power rifle scope. This is going to be approximately an inch longer than the current HDMR, and this is something to be really excited about. If they are able to keep the clarity up in the 30 power range, then this scope may end up dominating the competition field next year. Expect to see something more on this scope after SHOT Show. We didn't get a chance to handle it. We haven't even seen any pictures of it. They just went over some basic specs and kind of a heads up as to what's coming. The other scope that they brought out for us to look at is the 1 to 8.5 power close combat scope. It's kind of an interesting scope if you are looking at a DMR type setup. This is a scope to have. It uses a horseshoe type reticle with a mil scale or a ballistic scale coming off the bottom of it. It can be had in first focal plane or second focal plane, and it was a really excellent scope to work with. I got a chance to shoot it mounted on a JP rifle, and it was easy for me to grab that rifle, slap a magazine into, dial it to 1 power, and really tear up close range steel, but then take a really nice solid position, dial it up to 8.5, and take some long shots. I think for a designated marksman in a military environment, this is going to be a really nice option to have. You can stick it on an M4 and you can take your close shots. You can clear rooms with it in an open environment. You can dial it up and you can really maximize the 500, 600 yard potential of that weapon system. For a law enforcement shooter, you mount this to a semi-automatic 308 rifle and you have an excellent dual roll rifle that gives you the capability to gunfight up close, or to even go into almost a sniper role to be able to take a precision shot with. So it's a real nice optic. The 1 to 8.5 utilizes turrets similar to the HDMR, so you have a large exposed turret that you pull up to unlock and to dial. It does not have any zero stops on it though. I would like to see them put that in, but I don't know if they're going to be able to do it and keep the scope as compact as it is. That is set to release sometime next year, possibly before the end of the year. They're working on the illumination on it. The model that they demoed to us had the new illumination on it, and it was very bright. It was more than sufficient for me in an open air environment. The way I look at illumination on these kind of scopes is, if I'm going to be transitioning from daylight into a dark environment, I just want to have that reticle bright enough that when I go into a dark room that I'll still be able to see the reticle. It doesn't have to be turned up bright enough that I'm going to be able to see it in full daylight. The problem comes if you dial the reticle up so that you see it bright in the noonday sun. As soon as you go inside somewhere, you're going to have problems with the reticle blooming and washing out the target. So I just like to have that reticle bright enough to be able to be seen once I go inside a building and my eyes haven't yet adjusted to the dark. That apparently has been the hang-up on releasing that optic, is they really want that illumination system locked down and to be very bright before they release it. I think the consumer is going to be extremely satisfied even if they release it at the brightness level it's at right now. They also demoed a Bushnell Legend 10X spotter. This is a little compact spotting scope that was really nicely set up. It was ergonomic enough that when you're holding it, you can dial the focus with your index finger. It had a mil-based reticle in it that was very easy to use. And for intermediate range spotting, it's a really good scope. I think where I see a good use for this is in a scouting type situation. I don't know that you want to use it for long range spotting. We could see splashes on steel fairly far out with it, but you're not really going to be able to call a correction well with that scope. So it's a real good scope for spotting if you want something maybe in a law enforcement capacity where you want it sitting on the seat next to you in the car, to where you can pick it up and just take a look and get a little bit closer view on things. Maybe in a hunting situation where you just want to throw something in your pocket. It comes with a nice belt clip on it, so you can clip it to your belt, clip it to your vest or your pack strap, and have it close at hand. One of the nice things on the Bushnell Legend is they did put a 1/4-20 threaded stud or a threaded insert on the bottom of it, so you can mount it to a tripod and get a really steady hold with it. It was really nice to use, a really fun little piece of equipment. One of the products that Bushnell Tactical wanted to make us aware of, they didn't actually have any samples on hand, is their new line of Butler Creek flip-up caps. Now, Bushnell Tactical owns Butler Creek. It's one of their partner brands. And a lot of us and a lot of complaints I've heard over the years is how easy Butler Creek caps are to break. The current generation of Butler Creek caps really are, they're fairly fragile. When they're closed, you don't have much of a problem. When the caps are open, if they catch on anything or get loaded sideways, they'll crack right at the hinge and break right off. You can usually stick the cap right back on to the body of the flip cap, but it's a pain in the butt because now you have to pocket that cap every time you go to the shooting line. I broke 2 of them in the last month, so it gets quite annoying. Well, the guys at Bushnell Tactical have heard, they've understood, they've gone back and they've actually redesigned the caps. And now their premium line of caps are rubberized. They're basically, from what we've been told, they're almost indestructible. You can wad them up and stick them in your pocket. And unless you actually take a pair of scissors and cut them, you're not going to break the things. They have, instead of using a spring hinge, they have a rubber hinge. You pull them up and you can latch them in the up position, fold it out of the way. I haven't actually seen one of the new models yet. I'm working to get my hands on a set of them so that we can take a look and see if they're really as improved as they should be. There are a limited number of sizes first. They're bringing out in the most popular size of the Butler Creek caps, and then they will begin populating the other sizes as well. We did talk to them about the possibility of including these caps with their Elite Series scopes, their top-end scopes, because really the first thing guys do when they buy these scopes is they ditch the included covers. They go out and they buy aftermarket covers to put on these scopes. Wouldn't it be nice to be able to take a scope out of the box and already have the appropriate size flip-up covers mounted on it, ready to go, and be quality covers, not some of the covers that some other scope manufacturers have included that come back and slap you in the forehead every time you shoot the rifle. So that's something to look forward to, and as soon as we get them in our hands, I'll report back to you on either how improved they are or if they still need improvement. So that's something to look forward to. One of the other products that Bushnell Tactical demoed was their new shooting tripod setup. They partnered with Alamo 4-Star to come up with a Picatinny rail mounting system that allows you to mount any rail-equipped rifle on top of a tripod. Utilizes a ball-type head and a squeeze-locking pistol grip type attachment, so you can very easily lock your rifle in, release it, get it on target, let go of the pistol grip, and the rifle will stay locked up and stay on target. It's designed so that you can obviously shoot the rifle while it's locked into the tripod at varying heights, from standing all the way down to a very low sitting. You could conceivably go prone with it if you wish, but the tripod really wasn't designed to do that, since most rifles will be equipped with a bipod and it's very easy to unlock it and then go bipod prone. The locking mechanism on it appears to be very well thought out. You can set the angle and then you can release the pan attachment, and you can still pan the rifle left or right while it's locked in its angle adjustment. The Alamo 4-Star quick release worked very well. It's very quick to get the rifle in and out. So it was a really well thought out system. It was designed for the military. It was designed at their request, and it appears to work very well. The pricing wasn't definite on it yet, but look for it in the $600 to $700 range for the complete kit ready to roll. You guys have hit me up time and time again asking me about if there's a reticle-based spotter or a field spotter, and the only thing I can tell you on that is just wait till shot. I think you're going to be really impressed when you see what comes out then. We can't really release any details other than that. That was pretty much the gamut of products that they demoed to us while we were out there. It was a really fun time. I like being able to get away for a couple of days and just burn somebody else's ammo and not have to worry about cleaning guns or doing a detailed evaluation on anything. So it was fun. Let me just say something real quick about Rock Castle Shooting Center. This is a phenomenal place to go if you're into the shooting sports. They host 3-gun competitions, precision rifle competitions, sporting clays competitions. The Noble family has just really stepped up to make Rock Castle Shooting Center a place that shooters feel at home. It's one of the few resorts I've ever been to that you can stand in the main lobby of the hotel with a semi-automatic rifle slung over your shoulder and nobody bats an eye. People walk in and out with shotguns, rifles slung, pistols and holsters, and nobody has anything to say about it because that is the norm at Rock Castle. It really has a comfortable, laid-back feeling. The staff while we were there was extremely responsive to anything we needed. On the odd times when the coffee ran out in the lobby, the restaurant was very quick to refill my cup and get the coffee flowing, which is an extremely important thing for me, especially in the morning. I just really have a hard time getting locked on without my coffee. They also provide us a very nice place to just kick back at the end of the day and discuss what we've done. We spent each night there clustered around the fire, just discussing the different things we'd seen that day and just BSing. So it was a very nice, very laid-back place to be able to have these kind of events. The facilities vary from pistol ranges to the 1,430-yard plates down in Thunder Valley that we shot. There are also a couple of other stages that are available for match-type competitions like Sniper's Ridge, where you're shooting from one ridge top to another ridge top. And overall, it is just, I can't say enough about how outstanding the facility is. Overall, I just can't say enough about how enjoyable my stay was there. So if you get a chance to go to any of the shooting matches at Rock Castle Shooting Center, please do. If you get a chance to stay in the resort there, I think you will really be pleasantly surprised. Well, that's it for this episode of Mail Call Mondays. I thought it was kind of important to let you guys know what we were doing this last week. We're going to get back on the reloading kick for the next Mail Call Mondays, and we'll show you how to trim your brass, chamfer it, and do the preparation, getting it ready to load. And hopefully we'll be able to spin in a couple of other things. So that's all we have for you. As always, if you like the show, make sure you click that thumbs up button. If you want to leave us a comment, you can send us comments on Facebook or Twitter, or leave them in the comments section below. If you're a subscriber, thank you. If you're not, please subscribe. It helps us out. It lets you know when we release new videos, and we won't send you any junk mail, and most importantly, it's free. Until next time, get out and shoot!